Greetings nerdlings and welcome to AmalgamNation presents World of Lorecraft, Herocraft, Tyrande Whisperwind edition. Tyrande grew up together with two male night elf twins, Malfurion and Illidan Stormrage, in the Kaldari city of Suramar. The three were inseparable, playing in the woods, racing, learning to hunt. Tyrande consistently bested the others, and as they grew into adulthood together they encouraged each other to find their respective callings. Tyrande was to find peace in the Temple of Elune in Suramar, and became a novice priestess in the Order of the Sisters of Elune. Malfurion meanwhile was taken under the wing of the demigod Cenarius, but Illidan was yet to find his own destiny and searched for it in the arts of the arcane. Illidan was enamoured by the very thought of Tyrande, but his brother never even noticed this contest of Illidan's over Tyrande's heart. When the War of the Ancients began, Tyrande helped to convince Illidan to leave the Highborn, and when he did, she helped him to master his insatiable addiction to magic as they sought out Cenarius. When finally they found him, they gained the allies of Alexstras's dragons to fight at their side, and made war upon the Burning Legion and its allies Azshara and her unholy Highborn. It was during the battles against the Burning Legion that it became apparent that Tyrande was far more adept at channeling the power of Elune than any other member of her order. Tyrande was long the love interest of both Malfurion Stormrage and his brother Illidan, though it was Malfurion to whom she returned the affection. In the latter half of the war, word reached Tyrande of the death of High Priestess Dejana at the hands of the Burning Legion, and how on her deathbed she had named a successor, one who was favoured by Elune and touched with the power of the goddess herself, Tyrande. Tyrande was forced to reluctantly accept her new role as High Priestess, even though she had major reservations about her ability to lead the Night Elves. As she felt the energies of Azshara's gateway grow, Tyrande knew that they had to stem the flow of demonic reinforcements. Malfurion came up with the idea that they must destroy the well, which was doubtless the portal's location. At first, Cenarius and Alexstrasza were wary, knowing that only the Well of Eternity gave them their powers. Tyrande, however, though she too enjoyed her immortality and power, realized that it must be done to save their world, and convinced them to go along with it. Illidan, however, would not hear of it, and despite Tyrande's pleas, he abandoned his brother and made to warn Azshara. Tyrande and Malfurion quickly moved against them, but they were too late. Azshara, warned by Illidan, was all too prepared for them, and the magical onslaught she unleashed upon their forces devastated them. As Malfurion fought at the entrance, Tyrande snuck into Azshara's palace with a small band of sentinels and launched an attack from behind, but were startled by the Queen's guardsmen. Though the sentinels destroyed the guardsmen, most of them were destroyed, and Tyrande suffered near-fatal wounds. At the sight of his love falling in battle, Malfurion was enraged and attacked Azshara. Their battle threw the spellcraft of the Highborn into chaos, and the portal beneath the Well of Eternity collapsed with such force that the well was destroyed, and the world was scarred, torn into fragments as floods engulfed the lands. Tyrande managed to survive the sundering, and she helped to lead her people back across the waves to Cenarius' land on Mount Hyjal. Cenarius and Malfurion had also survived, and they made the long trek back to land together. To their horror, however, a lake atop Mount Hyjal had become fouled by the magical energies of the Well of Eternity, which they had hoped was gone forever. It was Illidan who had taken several vials from the old well's waters and poured it into the lake, creating a new Well of Eternity. Malfurion, knowing that Illidan's addiction to magic would always be a threat to the safety of the world, imprisoned his brother in the caverns below Hyjal, the Barrow Deeps. However, with the Sundering still fresh in their minds, Tyrande and the Night Elves dared not attempt to destroy the new well. Tyrande slowly went about rebuilding the Night Elven society. After the World Tree was made and the High Elves exiled, Malfurion knew that he had to leave Tyrande to rejoin the Emerald Dream. Tyrande, not wanting to be alone, begged him not to, but he insisted and drifted off into hibernation in a burrow den within the Moonglades, along with all the druids. Tyrande and the remaining Night Elven women reformed the Sentinels, and they kept peace throughout Ashenvale with the help of Cenarius' sons and daughters, the Keepers of the Grove and the Dryads, and the many creatures who knew and loved the Moon Goddess. But without Malfurion, she felt lost and alone. Despite her devotion, the centuries passed and suddenly a new threat arrived on their shores. The Shadowleaf Sentinels, led by Chandra's Feathermoon, returned to Mount Hyjal to report with sorrow that Cenarius had been murdered by green-skinned invaders who had arrived from across the sea. They were desecrating the outskirts of the forests and perverting the wilds for whatever reason. Tyrande gathered her sentinels once again, and she sensed a growing evil. Chandras in council suggested that perhaps it was the orcs, but still Tyrande was still uneasily aware that there was a darker power hiding in the shadows. During her short campaign, Tyrande found a group of furbolgs who were trying to leave Ashenvale before it was corrupted. Tyrande helped them gather the other furbolgs and bid them farewell before leaving. The Furbolg Elder Shaman thanked Tyrande by offering her the service of a Furbolg champion and 2 furbolgs. After killing Duke Lionheart, hordes of undead invaders suddenly swarmed into the settlement, and the orc-human base was quickly destroyed. Tyrande quickly withdrew her forces, knowing that her small detachment could not handle such staggering numbers. They retreated, tirelessly followed by the undead. Finally, they caught up to them, and their fell leader was revealed, Archimonde. Archimonde slaughtered her kindred and would have killed her if she had not quickly used the powers of Elune to hide in the shadows. Enraged, Archimonde ordered his Doomguard to find and destroy her. Hoping to warn Chandras before the Shadow Leaves were attacked, Tyrande stealthily used her shadow-melding powers to navigate the forests unseen. She collected survivors of her cadre, and together they raided the undead settlement, blocking their way, and made for the Shadowleaf encampment across the river. Tyrande knew that the time had come to awaken the druids once again. Leaving Chandras to defend the forests of Ashenvale, Tyrande made haste for the burrow dens in the Moonglade. The Dryads reported that Tichondrius and his Scourge were advancing on Malfurion's burrow den, and the Horn of Cenarius in the Moonglade was blocked by an orcish settlement. In a race against time, Tyrande destroyed the orc camp, defeated the primal guardians of the Moonglade, recovered the Horn of Cenarius, and awoke Malfurion Stormrage, her love. The primal guardians were the Fire Protector, Ice Protector, and Lightning Protector. Malfurion believed that Archimonde's primary motivation was to assault Nordrassil, the World Tree, steal its energies, and become a god. Together they set out to Winterspring to awaken the Druids of the Talon from their Druid of the Talon's burrow den. However, when they arrived, Tyrande found the Fellwood Furbolg tribe, which was the same tribe that Tyrande had helped earlier on. They had not escaped the corruption after all, and Tyrande, having no alternative, ended their suffering once and for all. Malfurion noted that Tyrande was different than he remembered, and she replied acidly that she did not have the luxury of sleeping through times of peril. It seems that much as she loves him, she would prefer he spend time with her rather than his duties in the Emerald Dream. After the druids of the Talon were awakened, they proceeded back to the base of Mount Hyjal, where they entered the burrowed deeps to find the druids of the Claw. However, they soon came to an elven door, and Malfurion recognized it as the door to Illidan's prison. Tyrande thought that they should free him, saying he would be the perfect ally against the enemy. Malfurion forbade her to do so. However, Tyrande, enraged that he would forbid her anything, gathered her sentinels and entered the prison. After battling through Califax and his minions and defying Maiev Shadowsong, the warden of Illidan, Tyrande found him and bid him come back to help their people. Illidan, still in love with Tyrande, professed he would battle the demons, but not for the glory of the Night Elves. When they met Malfurion again, he rebuked Tyrande for her insolence and told her that he would have nothing to do with Illidan. After Illidan went to Felwood to battle the demons, Tyrande and Malfurion got word that he was under heavy attack by Tychondrius. They quickly mustered a force and went to reinforce him. When they arrived, they found that the Scourge and Tychondrius had been defeated, and found Illidan had beaten them by somehow transforming into a demon himself. Tyrande was horrified and made no objection when Malfurion banished Illidan from the forests forever. Malfurion then brought Tyrande to a hillock in Ashenvale, and they were met by the leaders of the Outlanders. Tyrande sent them away, saying that they had no place there, but suddenly the prophet appeared, revealing himself to be Medivh, the last guardian of Tirisfal. He told them that this foe was beyond any of them, and that they would only be victorious if they joined forces. Tyrande, the death of Cenarius still fresh in her mind, was at first wary, but soon saw that she had little other choice, so together they planned their defence of Hyjal. Tyrande, Malfurion and Chandras helped to defend Jaina Proudmoore's base until it was finally overrun, and then they moved to reinforce Troll's forces. Finally, Archimonde came upon the Night Elven settlement at the gates and destroyed it all. Everything was going according to plan. Archimonde, made overconfident by his victories, moved against the World Tree, heedless of the ancestral guardians who had begun to gather in the forests around its roots. At a call from Malfurion, they massed and collectively assaulted the Warlock. When they detonated, Archimonde was immediately destroyed and the World Tree seared. They had won against impossible odds. In the wake of the titanic battles, the Allies went their separate ways. Jaina's people settled on the island of Terramore, Cairn Bloodhoof of the Torn established Thunder Bluff in Mulgore, Troll founded the nation of Durotar, and Tyrande and Malfurion took their people back into Ashenvale to begin healing the damage done by the Burning Legion. Many months after the Battle of Mount Hyjal, she was speaking to Malfurion about the healing of Nordrassil, the World Tree's roots. Suddenly they were interrupted by a runner from Maiev Shadowsong, who reported that the Warden had come under heavy attack by Illidan. Malfurion decided to go to her and reinforce her against Illidan, and Tyrande was quick to follow him. Tyrande and Malfurion sailed east to the Broken Isles and battled their way to Maiev, where they fought valiantly against Illidan's insidious Naga. Maiev was grateful for Malfurion's assistance, but turned up her nose at the sight of Tyrande. Maiev told Tyrande that she was to blame for Illidan's escape and the murders of the Watchers who'd been guarding him, that she should be locked away like Illidan. But Tyrande defended her actions and told her she had no right to judge her. Malfurion told them to set it aside before they can trade blows. Illidan told her that he wanted to show her his power. However, Tyrande revealed a detail that had haunted Illidan for 10,000 years. She believed that raw magical power can never replace one's true inner strength. This is why she had chosen Malfurion over Illidan. Tyrande told him that now she realized it was a mistake to have ever set him free. As they were nearing victory, Tyrande noticed Illidan fleeing the scene and therefore took chase. Illidan ensnared her, but spared her life. When Malfurion and Maiev arrived, Illidan was seen immediately fleeing. The three heroes took chase across the sea once again and landed on a strange, uncharted land. Malfurion recognized it as the conquered lands of Lordaeron. With the force so blighted by the passing of the Scourge, he felt he needed to commune with its spirits. He left Tyrande and Maiev alone together, telling them to settle their disputes another time. They had begun to look for Illidan when they ran across a group of Alliance Blood Elves, led by Prince Kael'thas. He explained that they were being overrun by the Scourge and were packing up their things and evacuating to across the nearby river Arevas. Tyrande resolved to help them, despite Maiev's protests. The Warden believed that they should ignore the elves and rush to find Illidan, but Tyrande insisted that they would not leave them unprotected, since their brethren, the Alliance under Jaina Proudmoore at Theramore, had aided them against the Burning Legion. Tyrande and Maiev thwarted the Scourge's relentless assault and finally arrived at Pyrewood village, but an ambush was lying in wait and the caravan came under attack. Tyrande told them to cross the river and promised that she would hold the line. Maiev sneered at her nobility, saying that she would never hold against such forces, but Tyrande was confident that Elune would protect and strengthen her. As the undead forces advanced, Tyrande called down the fire of the stars to crush all enemies of her people, and the lines of undead fell before her. But as she neared victory, the bridge she was on crumbled away, and Tyrande was swept up by the river, deeper into undead territory. Maiev told her Blood Elf allies to help her hunt Illidan rather than save Tyrande. Encountering some remnants of her forces, Tyrande held out on a small island as the undead harassed her time and time again. Their tireless assaults began to wear away at the stalwart sentinels, and Tyrande feared that they would be lost. But to her surprise, Illidan battled his way to her and rescued her, bringing her through a portal to a safe area. When they exited the portal, Tyrande admitted her surprise at this sudden turn of events and found that Malfurion and Illidan had joined forces to save her. Illidan told Tyrande that whatever he may become, he will never stop caring for her. Malfurion told Illidan that his actions saved Tyrande's life, but that he would never be allowed to threaten the Night Elves ever again. Illidan understood and vanished through another portal. Maiev arrived on the scene, furious at Malfurion's allowing Illidan to escape, and took her watchers through the portal. Tyrande called for her to stop, but Malfurion told the priestess not to waste her breath. Maiev had become the embodiment of vengeance and would no longer listen to reason. Tyrande invited Malfurion to return home with her for a well-deserved rest. Possible relatives of Tyrande. Night Elf surnames are indicative of the family line and often date back millennia. In World of Warcraft there are several NPCs with the surname Whisperwind. This would indicate that they are from the same family line as Tyrande, but how closely related to Tyrande is unknown. They are Orantil Whisperwind, Maeve Whisperwind, Drelanim Whisperwind. Thank you for watching, and as always remember, play to game and game to play.